maybe, just maybe, Shohei is human. I don't want to over-exaggerate here, but maybe it's possible that Shohei is not a god. He's just a human being.
Yeah, I mean, having to pitch 12 hours after getting on base 9 times. Come on, you're supposed to pitch a shutout game, right? No, that's hard even for the unicorn. So you're right. He's human. He was hit hard. He went 6 innings, 4 runs allowed, which I think anybody else in this position maybe would have done even worse. 4 runs on 6 hits. But the issue was how hard he was hit. Okay, they were swinging, Jason. 5 batted balls, exit velocity of over 100 miles per hour. 8 of them at 99 miles per hour. Vladdy, who we're going to talk about, got a big homer off of him. Shohei's doing something that nobody has done before at such an elite level. You have to think it can't last that long, especially not after playing basically back-to-back games in one night of baseball.
Yeah, that's the hard part about this, is that we expected yesterday that the pitchers would all be a little bit interesting when we got to relief, but we weren't sure how much we could get out of Shohei. And you knew you were going to have to get a lot out of the starters on both sides. You just knew that you were going to have to get as much run out of their arms as you possibly could. And Shohei was good. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't untouchable. And you mentioned Vlad, and Vlad got to him. In fact, they keep running the highlight over and over and over again of Vlad's first bat. He gets struck out. His next at-bat, he comes up to the plate, faces the same type of pitch, and boom, just sends it right out of the building. And that's, I think, part of what we have to understand here is that it's not just Shohei's series. These are 2 very good teams with superstars on both sides. This series, in some ways, Claudia, feels to me like it's a legend maker, because we can just say the one word Shohei, no matter where you are, you understand what we're talking about. I feel like Vlad in this process is becoming a share of his own, a one-name wonder that we all turn around and say, that guy, because when you need these wins, you need your stars to be legends, and Vlad, frankly, was legendary last night.
Yeah, I think that's what this series is, which says a lot about these 2 players when you have 2 very talented, deep rosters, specifically with the Dodgers. But it's this matchup. Shohei hadn't allowed a single home run in over 2 months. And then you get to the top of the third. Vladdy gets that sweeper right over the middle of the plate, sends that thing almost 400 feet over the left field to give them the lead. And that's something that Shohei, you could tell. Like, I don't know if anybody out there watches Shohei pitch. Pretty much after every pitch, he has a little smile on his face. He was not smiling after that one. He definitely wanted that one back. And then Ohtani goes to the plate and goes 0-3 with a walk. Still leads the squad in batting average, but clearly doing both is difficult. Vladdy doesn't have to worry about pitching, though. All he has to do is hit. And he does it pretty damn well. He's hitting .419 in the playoffs. An OPS over 1,300. 7 home runs. That's the most in a postseason history for a Blue Jays player. And for those who aren't massive into baseball, an average batting average over the last few years in baseball is around 250. Aaron Judge had the best this regular season at 331. Vladdy's hitting .419 right now, just sub .420. 50 total bases, the most in a 15-game span, tied for the second most in a postseason overall. The way that he's hitting is historical. So the fact that we get Shohei Ohtani, who's going both ways, and Vladdy the way he's hitting, yeah, this is absolutely an instant classic.
Yeah, and that's why this series is shaped up to be so good. It feels like the weirdest part to me in the 2 wins for the Blue Jays is that it's been one explosive inning in each of those. Like you blink and all of a sudden you think, okay, a lot of runs just came in. And the question is, can the bats get him back into it for the Dodgers side? And particularly if you look at the way Mookie's playing in this series right now, like the bats for the Dodgers quietly have gone a little, or loudly, I guess I should say, have gone a little quiet over the last 20 innings, right? So what we're really talking about here is once they were dug into that hole, could they get themselves out of it? And last night, they couldn't. And I feel like it was going to take such a Herculean effort. Like, I'm a video game nerd, right? And so I constantly make the turbo button joke, like, hey, you only have so much turbo button. You hold down the turbo button. When you're out of it, you're out of it. It felt like once they were in the hole last night that they were in, they just didn't have the turbo in the tanks to try and force their way back into this thing, as opposed to most of the series where you felt like, okay, there's still going to be opportunities. You're still going to get runners in scoring position. And you're still going to be able to push people home. That just wasn't the case for the Dodgers last night. It felt like even once they were down 4-2, it was daunting. Once they got down 6-2, it just felt like this thing was over.
Yeah, I mean, baseball's such a mental game, too, as we all know. I do want to give some credit to Toronto's pitching. I think back to the Yankees. There's so much talent in that Yankees lineup. They're a little top heavy, but when they go quiet, when they go cold, they go ice cold. And we saw that through stretches really over the last few years. This Dodgers team, we haven't seen that a ton with. So I don't know if it's necessarily them going cold. I would say it's Toronto's pitching, who I don't know if we gave enough credit to. And by we, I'm really collecting us all in the same bucket. Like, I don't know what you people out there was thinking, but I was certainly thinking that it was going to be all about the Dodgers bats and not so much Toronto's pitching. But Shane Bieber went out there, allowed just 1 run on 4 hits. Chris Bassett went another 2 shutout innings for Toronto. He still hasn't allowed a run this postseason. Their bullpen overall, if you look at it on the postseason, it's not good. It's around 470. But lately, they've allowed just 2 runs in 13 2/3 innings. Is that so much about the Dodgers bats going cold? I don't know. I think it's more of a credit to Toronto's pitching. And of course, in the postseason, you have your starting guys who are able to come out in relief. And that, of course, gives you a massive advantage. The Dodgers lineup to me is just so talented and too consistent from what we've seen in a larger sample size to say maybe they have gone cold. I think they bounce back big in this next game.
I think it's a reasonable expectation. But I wouldn't have expected them to struggle more than the Blue Jays did last night when it comes to making contact.
Sure.
And, I think there is this moment that, I want to give Bieber a bunch of credit for how well he played in this. Absolutely. I feel like, again, I'll go back to Mookie Betts. The number of times we've seen them sort of pitch around Shohei, and they're not worried about Mookie right now. Mookie is cold in this series, and that's, I think, one of the surprise things so far. That being said, I will loudly proclaim I'm glad they pitched to Shohei last night. Like, one thing I think we got to remember is that 24 hours ago, we weren't sure if they were going to. And even leading into the game, a lot of the conversation was, would they just intentionally walk him every single at-bat because he was so hot going into it? You see the chart there. They didn't give him much to swing at, but he did swing. He was struck out twice in this game. I felt like this sigh of relief because what I didn't want to do was have this series suddenly become defined by not letting stars be stars, which was a narrative that was taking over by yesterday afternoon on social media and on some baseball coverage sites. Like, if they walk him, then what does that mean for the future of the intentional walk rule and all of this conversation? Like, conjecture was going nuts 24 hours ago. So weirdly, Claudia, even though it wasn't a great night for Shohei, I found myself relieved that they were actually pitching to him and not just giving up the base every time he was up at bat.
Well, I mean, think about if you're a Toronto fan, too. If you guys end up winning the World Series and you have this massive comeback, everybody's going to come jumping at you and put the little asterisks on there. It's like, the in-game tournament or like the bubble wins in the NBA. Like, they're going to put the asterisks there. Yeah, you won, but it was in the bubble. Yeah, you beat the Dodgers, but you didn't let Shohei Ohtani get any hits because you just walked him every time. Like, Toronto fans don't want that little asterisk, and that's really looking into it. But I do think it's true from a fan side perspective, but also a player. Of course, Shohei he wants an opportunity to go yard because we've seen him do it over and over again, especially in clutch time. So I 100% agree. I was very relieved to see them actually pitch to him. And that gives more credit to the Toronto pitching staff, which I think they do deserve it. Yeah, he's going to make you pay if you're not pitching to him well, and pitch to him well, and then you're going to get all the credit in the world. And they did last night.
I feel like we get game 5 tonight, by the way. A lot of people don't seem to realize that. Back to back to back. They truncate this schedule wildly for the World Series, which is its own conversation of why. I mean, I don't know, like, the one sport that needs arms to rest constantly in between outings, and that's not what they're giving us the opportunity for. But I don't think you can get more back up against the wall than the Dodgers are in this matchup. And to be clear, in my mind, they got to win game 5 to have any shot to win the rest of the series. 1/6 of the country of Canada watched the first 2 games of the World Series. 1/6 of the entire nation, right? Like, you start talking about going back to Toronto, needing to sweep both games in Toronto to get yourself a World Series championship in that environment against that team in that country. They're going to be people from Vancouver that are getting their way over to Toronto just to try and celebrate the possibility of a World Series championship. That place is going to be a zoo for Game 6 and Game 7. That environment is going to be overwhelming. It's going to be like Taylor Swift touring in front of Taylor Swift with Taylor Swift opening with Taylor Swift and Michael Jackson in his prime all at once. Like, the world is not ready for the chaos that's about to hit Toronto. I just think the Dodgers, to have any shot to win this series, have to win tonight.
Michael Jackson and Taylor Swift. I can't imagine what that concert would look like. And we will break down that game, I know, later in the show. I do think the Dodgers get the win. I think they bounce back. The bats look better. I like Snell. I have another stat for you that I knew you loved yesterday. In the best of 7 series, Jason, tied at 2-2, the Game 5 winner has also won the series over 67% of the time. I have that for you, our little ESPN stat of the day. But another stat for you. The Blue Jays lead all teams in home runs in the playoffs, okay? They have the most go-ahead homers while trailing in the postseason. This playoffs, teams to out-homer opponents are 27-5. I know you like those stats.
That is an amazing. Here's the thing. When we get to break, I'm gonna text a buddy that I love very much that is part of that stats and info group that comes up with these things. Here's what I want to know. What are the stats for a team that wins Game 3 but loses Game 5, or vice versa? I'm curious, because yesterday's stat was, win Game 3 and you win 67% of the time. Win Game 5, you win 64% of the time. Well, what about the converse of this? Like, what happens if you win one or lose the other? Like, what do we do when these two worlds collide? And I don't know, Claudia. I don't know what to make of any of that. Like, there is some reality of just asking somebody, because you said yesterday when we were talking about this series moving forward that it would be tough for the Blue Jays to win enough games remaining. So now that we are where we are, a best of 3 series, do you believe that the Blue Jays will win the World Series?
I don't. I think the Dodgers come back. I think they get the win tonight. I think the bats heat up again. I don't know how long Mookie's going to stay cold. At first, before this series started, I said, like, now is the time to jump on Toronto. And I have to check what the price is to see. But of course, last night, it's not going to be as good. So I think that the time, if you were to jump on the Toronto bandwagon, was before. Like, if you had faith in Toronto, you were with them from the beginning. You ride it out till the end. I've said since the start of the season that the Dodgers were the best team in baseball, the best roster. They had the best vibe, the best charisma. And they were the most consistent. I've said that from the start of the season. I'm going to ride that out. I think the Dodgers finish this thing.